Hello dear students, welcome to digital classes. In today's biology session, we are going to learn a new topic from our heredity chapter. Let's try to understand what it is and know about it. Dear students, in our environment, we find lot of plants and animals. There is lot of flora and fauna on this planet Earth. Did you ever try to know the number of species inhabiting this planet? And in fact, every year the species number is increasing. So it is estimated that there are around 8.5 million species of plants and animals living on this planet. Now, how did these species come into existence? How did they arrive on this planet Earth? Let's try to know about this, something about this. So, the branch of science which deals with this aspect of the development of the plants and animals over a period of time on this planet Earth is called evolution. In fact, we deal with life, so it is called organic evolution. Now, the definition of organic evolution was given by this great English philosopher by name Herbert Spencer. He said that evolution is nothing but it is unfolding of life. What is unfolding of life? Let us try to understand the meaning of it using a very small paper. You know, you can see that there is a small paper which is actually folded in my hands. Suppose I want to write something and I want this paper in its full size. So how can I get it? I can't get it at one go. I need to unfold it. This is the first unfolding, then I have to second time again unfold. So this is called unfolding of paper. In the same way, whatever plants and animals are present on this planet Earth, all of did not arrive at the same time. One after the other species started evolving, started emerging on this planet Earth. That is what is evolution. So, if we want to understand what is evolution, we need to first understand how actually, that means we are trying to know how life originated, in fact, in short. So, before knowing origin of life, we need to understand first origin of our planet Earth itself. So, how did planet Earth come into existence? It is believed that sun, from moving sun, a piece of sun, a chunk of sun actually fell at different places. Several pieces of sun fell at different places, and these pieces are nothing but planets which keep revolving around sun because they are attracted by sun. They have come from sun. Similarly, Earth is also a piece of sun which got separated and is revolving around it. So initially Earth was very hot, all the things, it was very hot in the beginning. So slowly what happened to this planet, to all this material in the beginning which was very hot, Earth started cooling down slowly. So heavy material, whatever was present in this ball of very hot masses, it went to the center forming the core of the Earth. Now why we know that heavy materials go down? Suppose I take a balance and take two pans and try to, take heavy material in one and light material in another and try to weigh. Material which is heavy, having lot of density, will go down. Obviously, here also heavy material moved to the center of the Earth, becoming core of the Earth. Then after that, next part above it is actually the magma, the molten rock, and above that formed the crust, lighter material, and lightest material of all became the gases which formed actually the primitive atmosphere. So what was present at that particular moment was the presence of gases like hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, carbon, water vapor. But there was no oxygen. So when Earth was formed, there was no oxygen at all. Then slowly Earth started cooling down. So because of that, condensation of water vapor took place and it started raining heavily. So whatever water came down, precipitated, all that water filled up the oceans, formed seas, rivers, lakes, streams, etc. So whatever water was accumulated in the beginning, when Earth started cooling down, so that particular water is said to be called as a prebiotic soup. It is called as prebiotic soup. Now slowly, even atmosphere had other material, other gases like methane, ammonia. So along with the rain, all these things, these chemicals came down. They were all washed down and they joined, all these chemicals joined oceans and seas. In the same way, when it rained, all the particles from rocks, they were all washed out, and all these particles also came and joined oceans and seas. Now from these chemicals, first organic molecules were formed. So when we talk about organic evolution, we have to first understand evolution or formation of organic molecules. So what are organic molecules? Whenever we add the word organic, we are associating it with life. So molecules which are important, which are found in life, which are essential for making life. Life in the sense we are talking about cells here. So all the important molecules which are needed for the formation of a cell, they were formed first. So namely sugars, sugar molecules. Then we had fatty acids, we had amino acids. All these molecules evolved first. Nucleic acids evolved first. Then slowly there were polymers of these nucleic acids, these amino acids, fatty acids, glucose, etc. Now all these molecules, they formed polymers. That means they were aggregates of these molecules. All these aggregates which were formed, they did not get dissolved with the surrounding water which was around them. Then slowly from these aggregates, they developed, actually they were all held together because of forces of attraction. Then these molecules, they developed a membrane around them, a lipid membrane around them, which became later nothing but plasma membrane, and thus formed first life, that is first cell was formed. So it was first chemicals, organic chemicals which came into existence. From chemicals evolved the first cell. Now the cells which evolved first, cell-like structures which evolved first, they were having special proteins in them which were working like genes, which had the ability to take the material from the surrounding and started making their own food. So first organisms were those, first cells, which we call them as protobionts. They were the first cells, first living things which could synthesize food. But the chemical needed, the energy needed for making of the food was, they got it from the chemicals. So they were chemoautotrophs. Now slowly, this process did not stop over here, it continued. So slowly these structures, which today we call them as bacteria, cyanobacteria, right, they developed chloroplast-like structures. Then true chloroplast developed afterwards, and once the true chloroplast came into existence, then these organisms started performing photosynthesis. Only when photosynthesis started taking place, there was evolution. Photosynthesis in the sense when chloroplast absorbed the sunlight for preparation of food, then oxygen was released. So this was the reason why oxygen came into existence, and it became a part of land, it became a part of oceans and as well as atmosphere. So slowly atmosphere, which was reducing atmosphere, started turning into oxidizing atmosphere. Thus life started here on this planet Earth. So dear students, whatever aggregates are formed over here, these aggregates are actually called as coacervates. These coacervates later developed a lipid membrane around them. Then they had developed free genes. These genes had the ability to absorb from the surrounding material like carbon dioxide, dissolved gases or any other kind of sugar. They started utilizing this and performing respiration, that is fermentation, and getting energy. So they developed chemoautotrophs. Slowly in the process, then they evolved chloroplast. True chloroplast did not come, but initial chloroplast came. So this chloroplast was again used for the preparation of food, synthesizing food, but sun's energy was not utilized here. Again the energy came from the breakdown of these chemicals that they have taken from the surrounding water only. Then over a period of time, then came the true chloroplast, and this chloroplast had the ability to absorb sunlight. So now started the process of true photosynthesis, wherein oxygen gas was evolved, and this oxygen gas was the main gas which got dissolved in water, and this photosynthesis was the main reason because of which oxygen was evolved and which was added to atmosphere. So why these aggregates, what I am talking about, the coacervates which were earlier forms of life. Now how do we know that life has started? If somebody says something, do we believe? It's not like that. We know that yes, living things have formed and they have come into existence. This is how it goes on. But then when we try to look from scientific point of view, we want evidences, right? We should be present there to see. But then our life is too short. We cannot see the process, any simple change that happens in nature. Our lifespan is so short that even significant small change, minor change also we can't notice. Then where can we understand the process or the phenomena involved in evolution? So we believe that yes, evolution could have taken place by looking at some of the evidences. So what are the evidences that we look at? Evidences from paleontology, from embryology, and from comparative anatomy. Let's see each one of them. So what is this paleontology? Paleontology means study of fossils. So what are fossils? Fossils are considered as remnants of the past life. That means once upon a time organisms which walked on this planet Earth, they are no longer there. But their parts are left, their remains are there which are still found intact in some places, or maybe their impressions are there. We can study that and know that yes, life could have existed. So where are these actually fossils present? We can find the presence of these fossils in between the sediments buried soil under the water, that is below the sea, or below the sea and oceans, that is below water, or in the soil. We can find these fossils in all these sediments, that is strata of soil, different strata of soil. So these are all the examples of fossils that you are able to see. Fossils examples, footprints, again coprolites, these are all different fossils. Dear students, let us try to understand about fossils formation. Actually, fossils are of different types. We call them as trace fossils, we also call them as cast fossils, and some of them are called as mold fossils. So first of all, what are trace fossils? Trace fossils are the marks left out. For example, we see over here the footprints. So footprints, whichever mark is left out by organism, that is considered as a trace fossil. Like it can be even bone of an organism or teeth of an organism. The marks, these are all trace fossils. What are mold fossils? Mold fossils means suppose an organism is there which got caught in between the mud. Then outside you find that outside material, whatever is there, sediment is there, it becomes hard surrounding this organism. So outside material gets the impression of this animal which is no longer there. So that is called as mold fossil. Similarly, you have something called as cast fossil. Let us see this mold fossil over here in this particular picture. So you can find over here impression of this particular organism over here. This is mold fossil. So around this organism, whatever material, sand was there, sediment was there, it got the impression of that particular part. Or it can be organism, completely organism also. When we say cast fossil means suppose an animal dies, an organism dies, parts of the body could have got decomposed, and there could be some other parts which did not get decomposed. Now slowly we find that decomposition process go on. So wherever decomposition process go on slowly, there is a cavity created over there. Let's say for example that liver of an organism is there which is dead. Now slowly liver starts decomposing, but in that place of decomposition, sand particles, sediment particles, silt get deposited, and it takes the shape of that particular organ. So similarly, the whole body of an organism can get decomposed, but instead of that organism, in that place, sediment can get deposited and it can get the shape of that animal. So with this we can get to know how that animal was there which survived long back. Its shape can be known with the help of that. Its teeth parts could be understood. If you can get skull, teeth, dentition, everything, its lifestyle can be known. So fossils help us a lot in understanding. So what are coprolites? Coprolites are nothing but the fecal matter of organisms which over a long period of time has turned into stony material. So basically, how are these fossils formed? Let's try to understand with the help of one example. Usually we know that when organisms die, they are all prone to decomposition process. But sometimes it so happens that when organisms die, their body gets trapped between the layers of soil, different layers of soil. So the body, initially the whole body is not decomposed, and then slowly what happens over a period of time, the soil that is present or the sand that is present, the minerals that are present, all that becomes hard, and this soil gets the impression of that animal which is trapped over there. Thus you can find the impressions of the animals, or as we have seen, the footprints of the animals or as we have seen in this particular structure, the complete impression or the mark of the organism can itself be seen or noticed. So we understand that, okay, fine, evolution could have occurred because of these fossils. But again, how does fossils help us to know? There is another example here of fossil which you can very much see it at B.M. Birla Science Center here. This is the fossil of a dinosaur by name Kitosaur. This has been extracted from our Adilabad district from a mandal called Yamnapalli. So this dinosaur's fossil is around 11 meters long and it is 5 meters in height. Now how do fossils actually help us to know that evolution could have occurred? So for that, let us go back once again to this particular slide. We can find that there are layers of soil. When you try to look at the fossils, at the bottom of the soil, whatever fossils are available, those fossils were extracted, that means taken out, and there are fossils present even in the upper strata of the sediments. So it was found that the fossils which are present in the lower most sediments, those were of simple forms, simple organisms, and the fossils which were formed or which were attained from the upper strata, those were the fossils of the higher group of animals. So thus this tells us that yes, evolution took place, which is nothing but it is the development of the organism from simple form to complex forms. So what is evolution? We are saying that it is the development of the life from simple form to complex form. So simple forms means in the beginning very simple organisms like bacteria, cyanobacteria has evolved. Then slowly over a period of time there was change in the organism's body, shape, design, and sophistication started emerging in the group of organisms, be it plants or animals. So finally you find today bigger plants and bigger animals with sophistication in design, in complexity, functioning of parts and organs. This is what is observed. This is what is actually called evolution. How do we know that fossils will also help us to know about the age of that particular organism or the fossil which lived in the past, and we can compare the ages of the organisms of the lowermost fossils with that of the uppermost fossils. So this can be found out by using the technique called as carbon dating technique, because radioisotopes are used. Their half-life period is known, and with that we can know the age of these fossils. Dear students, another important clue that we get to understand that evolution could have occurred is with the help of connecting links. So what are connecting links? See, evolution is that process in which one species is in due course of time changing into another species. We are saying this is evolution. So let's say that there is species A and this is getting converted to species B. In between these two, you find that there is a species which represents a transition stage, that is moving from species A to species B. There is another transition stage or transition species present, which is called as connecting link. So similarly, there was one connecting link found out, a connecting link between reptiles and birds, and that is known as Archaeopteryx. Why do we say that Archaeopteryx is the connecting link? It is because this fossil has got wings and feathers like birds. And why do we say that it is a reptile? Because it has got teeth and a very long tail representing reptiles. So this is a connecting link between these two, stating that yes, evolution takes place. Similarly, there is another connecting link between Arthropoda and Annelida. First we have Annelida group, a group in which you find organisms like earthworms, leeches, nereis, etc. and Arthropoda, the largest animal phylum in the animal kingdom. So in between these two, that is Annelida gave rise to Arthropoda. So in between these two also you find there is one connecting link which is called as Peripatus. Now so far we understood about the evidences from fossils. Now let's move on to other set of evidences, that is embryological evidences. Ernest Haeckel, naturalist from Germany, as well as von Baer, he is also from Germany. These two zoologists, they also supported the concept of evidence with the help of evidences taken from the field of embryology. What is embryology? Branch of science which deals with the formation and development of embryos. So here when we try to look at the embryos of the vertebrates, you know that vertebrates are the animals having a backbone, and vertebrates are divided into 5 important classes. To begin with, we have first a fishes group, then amphibians, reptiles, aves, that is birds, and then mammals. So when we here are the examples, the embryos of all these 5 classes that I meant, starting from fish, right? So fish, salamander is amphibian, then tortoise. We have next chicken, that is representing aves, birds, and then rabbit and human beings of mammals. Initially, when you try to look at these embryos, you find that all of them are alike. Later, you cannot in fact distinguish in the beginning that which embryo belongs to which group. It is difficult. It means to say that all of them show initially the same characters, stating that they have a common ancestor. So this is the embryological evidence we get saying that yes, evolution occurred. Now let's try to understand another example from embryological field only. We know that in certain group of organisms, they go through certain stages considering from egg to adults. So for example, in the life history of frog, you find that eggs are laid and then eggs change into larva, which is called as tadpole larva, and then larva slowly develops and then it becomes a small frog, and small frog over a period of time turns into an adult. Now here what is noticed is that the tadpole larva which is present, it is having the characters of that of a fish. Fish lives in water, fish has got fins, it breathes with the help of gills, even fishes. That means what we understand is that the developmental history of frog is representing, or it is actually going through a phase where it is repeating the evolutionary history of its ancestor. That means here this is called as ontogeny repeats phylogeny, or we can also call this theory as a theory of biogenetic law or theory of recapitulation. It says that the developmental history of organisms repeats actually the evolutionary history of its ancestor. So amphibians have come from fishes. So that is the reason here tadpole larva is repeating the history of its ancestor, which is nothing but a fish. Same case goes even with butterflies also here. We know that butterflies lay eggs, eggs turn into first larva, larva into pupa and then adult. When you look at larval stage, which is caterpillar stage, we find that this caterpillar in appearance, it is just like annelida from where these have arisen. So this also proves that yes, evolution has occurred. Now let's talk about comparative anatomy. What is comparative anatomy? The word comparative means you are comparing the things. Anatomy is nothing but the study of internal organs and the functions of these organs. So how comparative anatomy helps us to understand? Let's try to, with the help of these examples. We have actually the parts of limb. We are here discussing our forelimb, that is hand, right? Now all these are the examples of mammals. So man, cheetah, mammal, again you have whale, which is a mammal, and then bat. But when you look at these four organisms, we find that all these four inhabit different ecosystems, right? So man on land, cheetah which lives in forest, it has got its own mode of life. Whale is found in water, aquatic organism, the largest living organism, and then bats which are flying mammals. When we talk about their forelimb, that is when we talk about their hands, like structures, hands, we find that the basic structure, the design of all these is the same. That is the forelimbs in all the cases, we find there is one bone over here which is humerus, then there are two bones in the lower arm which we call them as radius and ulna, then there are bones of the wrist, carpals, then metacarpals, that is palm bones, and then the phalanges, the digits. So you find the basic plan, the basic structure in all these animals, forelimbs, it is the same. But let's talk about the function part, the functional aspect of these. Is it the same? No. Man uses his hand for grasping things. Cheetah uses its legs, forelimbs, for running very fast. A mole uses it for digging. In whale, it is modified to become flippers, which is used for swimming. And in bat, it has been changed into a wing. So though the basic design is same, the structure wise they are same, function wise they are different. This suggests that mammals have actually common ancestor, but they moved in different directions. They have inhabited different ecosystems, so and got adapted to live in that environment. So this is example of divergent evolution. These organs which are similar in structure and design but dissimilar in function are called homologous organs. Now let's talk about the opposite of this. Let's try to look at these two organisms over here. One is bird and the other one is bat. Similarly, here we can have wings of insect and wings of birds. Now we know one commonality that you find among all these four organisms, what I showed over here, is that they have wings. And we know the purpose of wings. which helps these animals to fly in the air. But when you try to understand the structure, internal structure, do you find them that they are the same? The basic plan inside is the same? No. So here we find that organs which are dissimilar in structure and design, but they are similar in function, they are analogous organs. Now why is that we find the same shape of these organs though their design is different? It is because different group of organisms have come to one place, one environment, one ecosystem, and as per the ecosystem, the shape of the bodies have been changed, or they have a common shape. They adjusted themselves to have a common shape. With the help of it, they can survive properly in that particular ecosystem. So they got adapted to live in that environment in that way. So this is example of convergent evolution. Now dear students, so far we have understood how evolution took place and different types of evidences. So what we understand over here is that when we are saying unfolding of life, when we are talking about organisms getting evolved, we mean to say that first one species came into existence, then it gave rise to second species evolved into third species. It is not that all the organisms that you see on this planet Earth have come all at once. It was not like that. Slowly one species came, then gave rise to next species, and this process went on, and it is still going on. Now from time to time, different people have actually proposed different kinds of theories to support how life originated on this planet Earth. Like for example, we have a theory of special creation, which says that maybe there is some special superpower which could have created this life, all the living things, which we call it as theory of special creation, which is nothing but believing in the existence of God. Some say that life was present in the universe and it came from outside, and life started originating here and it continued, multiplied, continued. Some say that life evolved from non-living things. But all these are discarded. Two important theories which we take into consideration to explain the process of evolution. They are very popular. Let us try to understand these two theories in our next class. Thank you very much, dear students. So, dear students, in today's session, we have learnt the concept of evolution. What is evolution? It is nothing but unfolding of life. And what are the evidences which support that evolution have occurred? We have learnt about fossils. We have learnt about embryological evidences. We have learnt about comparative anatomy. So, under comparative anatomy, we have learnt what are homologous organs and what are analogous organs. Then we understood even the process of fossils formation. In our next class, let us try to understand theories which support the concept of evolution, how evolution has occurred, and the scientists who worked hard. In the next session, let us try to understand different theories of evolution proposed by different persons. So, dear students, thank you very much. Keep watching digital classes, and for better understanding, try to download the worksheets from SCRT website and solve them. And for any doubts, further clarification, ask your teachers and discuss with your friends. Thank you very much.